His mind was racing fast, but soon, when he saw black wind grass rolling across a wasteland, he no longer had time to think about any of this. The grass swayed in silence, making a faint rustling sound, as if it were the only sign of life in this desolate wasteland. He didn't notice when it happened, but suddenly he found himself standing in a strange place. Everything that had just occurred had vanished completely. There was no long, narrow underground passage, and no terrifying number of netherwalkers. The monster that looked like a dead baby was no longer chasing him. It was as if it had all just been a nightmare. It felt like he'd been thrown into an entirely different world. Dressed in his black demon god armor, Zhang Yi stood in the middle of a long road that seemed to stretch to the end of the world. In his right hand was a massive blood-red sword. The road looked ancient, its surface cracked with the marks of countless years, as if it were narrating old stories. The distant horizon was hazy, with darkness spreading across it, swallowing all light. This really was a road, a very long road that looked extremely old. The ground was cracked, exactly like an asphalt road that had aged for decades. It was wide enough for 3 or 4 cars to drive side by side without feeling crowded. The surrounding area was endless wasteland, with almost no vegetation, only black and gray tumbleweeds rolling through the wind, making a faint rustling sound, the only sign of movement in this dead world. Looking out in any direction revealed nothing but pitch-black darkness. It felt like a post-sunset western world, where only a highway through the wasteland remained within Zhang Yi's field of vision. He looked down the road, hoping to spot some glimmer of hope, or a clue somewhere in the distance. A faint smell of decay hung in the air, making everyone uneasy. Zhang Yi took a deep breath, closed his eyes, and calmed his mind. In this dead world, his own heartbeat sounded incredibly clear, as if it were the only sign of life here. He slowly crouched down, scanning his surroundings with exhausted alertness, sensitive to every tiny movement. He reached out a finger and touched the ground lightly. When the cold metal armor touched the rough asphalt road, he felt a sensation both familiar and unfamiliar. His armor's intelligence system confirmed his guess. This really was an asphalt road. This is Mammon's dream, Zhang Yi thought to himself. The thought made him frown briefly, but he quickly composed himself. Or maybe this is a dream created based on the memories of humans. Then Fatty Sue's voice came through. Boss, this place feels really weird, but also kind of nostalgic. Why is that? Zhang Yi raised an eyebrow in confusion. Why? Because there's no snow here. Zhang Yi suddenly understood and looked out into the distance again. Ahead and behind him stretched a wide asphalt road extending as far as the eye could see, surrounded only by desolate wasteland. A place like this had become hard to find in the outside world, which was why it felt nostalgic. This isn't the time for nostalgia, Kanga scolded Fatty Sue. This place is strange and unsafe. We need to find a way out as quickly as possible. Fatty Sue scratched his head, embarrassed. Sorry, Mr. Kanga, I just got a little carried away. In the shadow space, Kanga stood among the crowd with his arms crossed, and everyone looked at him as if waiting for a decision. Kanga communicated with Zhang Yi through the channel. Whatever the case, for now we're out of immediate danger. We can't go back to look for those people. One of them is a traitor. Until we know exactly who wanted to harm you, we shouldn't contact anyone. But right now, we need to get out of this strange place. Zhang Yi asked, what do you think we should do now? Kanga answered, there's only one road here. So let's just follow it and see where it leads. There's no better option right now. Zhang Yi looked determined and took a deep breath. Still, he wanted the opinion of the smartest person on his team. Xingxin, what do you think? Young Xingxin looked at Kanga, who smiled gently at her. She gave him a slight nod and smile in return, then quickly started forming an action plan in her mind. We should make a plan before acting. Even though we just entered the Demon's Eye and don't have much information, we still have some. For now, we can confirm this place is definitely connected to the ancient civilization that existed in the Huxu Kingdom, most likely related to the Dragon Clan of the Qinling Mountains. I'll go back through the ancient documents, especially the ones related to the 9 Candles of Yan. Zhang Yi, brother, Yang Xinxin paused for a moment, furrowing her brow as if something felt off. Then she said, the Netherwalker is sealed in your dimensional space, right? My suggestion is we study it and see if it's actually human. We might find a new clue there. Zhang Yi tapped his forehead. Right. How did I forget that? Although many of the dimensional gates had been destroyed, some had survived, and a few still had Netherwalkers trapped inside. Zhang Yi had been about to deal with them when he drew his demon sword and slashed most of the Netherwalkers dead, leaving only a few alive so Sheikh could study them. But the most troublesome thing sealed in his dimensional space was an avatar of the Crow of Doom. When he observed the creature, Zhang Yi's heart trembled slightly. The Crow of Doom, representing military power, fought in close combat, which was why it couldn't break the seal from inside the dimensional space. But Zhang Yi could clearly feel that after the other avatars had been destroyed, its aura had grown even more powerful. Maybe it could be said that each of these was, in fact, the original. No, in reality, every Lord of the Netherworld was simply a creation born from Mammon's dream. That was exactly why each Crow of Doom could split without dying, and why each split made it even more powerful. Zhang Yi was grateful that no other Crow of Doom or immortal demon child had followed him into this area, or he'd genuinely be in trouble. He waited for the analysis results before moving forward. He opened his spiritual domain and observed his surroundings. Now that there was no external interference, anything trying to approach him would be exposed immediately. Unavoidable, given second hand of time. Kanga, something feels off. Do you remember why we even came here in the first place? Zhang Yi asked, talking to Kanga. Whenever Zhang Yi needed it, his close friend would comfort him and show him the way forward. Of course I remember, Kanga said in a gentle, reassuring tone. It was the right decision. Zhang Yi nodded. So there's no point in running. Now that I've come this far, I'll see it through to the end. Whatever happens, I have to get that thing. Old Zhang, I always believe in your abilities, Kanga said. And whatever you decide, I'll help you achieve it with everything I've got. You'll get what you need. A dark light flickered in Zhang Yi's eyes. I need it. Otherwise, when we leave this place, we'll face even greater danger. Fatty Sue cut in. Big boss, what exactly are you after? Zhang Yi smiled faintly. Secret for now. Knowing wouldn't help you. By then, Shock had completed her analysis of the Netherwalker's biological structure and reached a conclusion. Zhang Yi, these creatures' genes are completely identical to human genes. Zhang Yi nodded. I should have guessed that already. The immortal demon children looked like human babies, and those small gray demons had also fought against the Aoshi clan before. That meant those little demons were actually ancient humans who had surrendered to Mammon. As for the immortal demon child's appearance, it had probably also been reflected through the sixth generation of humans' appearance in Mammon's dreams, giving birth to its creation. And the Crow soldiers were likely humans from an even older era, based on their appearance, possibly the Aokes or Ecuadorians. Though this information wasn't particularly useful right now. Zhang Yi paused there for a moment, but that pause was enough to fully stabilize his emotions. All right, let's move. Zhang Yi looked around. In every direction there was only the straight road. But Zhang Yi was never someone who followed the rules. He looked up at the sky, immediately opened a dimensional gate, and flew straight upward. After several shuttle jumps, his feet landed right back on the ground, as if something had pulled him back down. Got it. This is a dream world. We can't physically leave this area. Yang Xinshin said, There's a road here. We're trapped within Mammon's rules. So we have to follow this road and see what's ahead. At this point, Zhang Yi had no other option. But he held firm belief in something Lin had told him. Mammon had already been severely wounded by the four knights, which meant he couldn't deal with them directly. Even if he encountered a Lord of the Netherworld currently in a weakened state, Zhang Yi still had the ability to protect himself. If he faced any single Lord of the Netherworld alone, at the very least he wouldn't die in the fight. With that, he made proper preparations and said, All right, let's follow this road and see what monsters and demons we run into next. He thought for a moment, then pulled a vehicle directly out of his dimensional space. Snowmobiles would be useless here, so he brought out an advanced armored motorcycle instead. A model Renault had built 5 years earlier, black-bodied with an extremely cool, exaggerated design, packing 200 horsepower, known as the Road Beast. It was one of Zhang Yi's original collected items, part of the inventory he'd gathered from various warehouses across Tianhai City. 3 years had passed since he'd last taken it out for a ride. The straight road stretching before him looked like it went all the way to the sky, and this vehicle seemed perfectly suited for it. Not riding it would honestly be a waste. Zhang Yi mounted the Renault motorcycle, the windshield angled upward, and the road beast let out a loud roar, the kind of sound that would race anyone's heart. Then Yang Xinshin asked, Brother, can I sit behind you? Zhang Yi paused for a moment. He always pampered Yang Xinshin since she was his most trusted advisor, someone who relied on him heavily and was completely devoted. But in a moment this dangerous, her sudden request to ride behind him felt a little strange. Still, Zhang Yi thought it over and smiled. After all, she's still just a young girl. Young girls probably enjoy thrills, including the fun of riding behind someone on a motorcycle. Otherwise, why would young girls who don't know much about the world go on rides with bikers or guys with electric bikes? All right, hop on. Yang Xinshin immediately stepped out of the shadow and climbed onto the back of Zhang Yi's motorcycle, wrapping her arms tightly around his strong waist. Zhang Yi adjusted the shape of his demon god armor slightly so it wouldn't hurt her. Hold on tight, he reminded her. A soft smile crossed Yang Xinshin's face. She rested her head against his back and said gently, Okay, big brother. Zhang Yi hit the starter hard and the motorcycle shot forward like a wild beast. The road stretched endlessly across the wasteland, nothing visible but wind, grass, and the highway. The road looked like it led all the way to heaven. Zhang Yi drove for a long while. Then suddenly, a bright spot appeared in their field of vision. It was nighttime and the light was dim, so the bright spot immediately caught everyone's attention. "Old Zhang, look," Kanga reminded him. "What is that?" "Looks like some kind of tavern." The motorcycle sped forward, and as they got closer, the building became clearer. Kanga was right. It was an old-fashioned tavern. Outside, a neon sign read, "Underworld Tavern." Fatty Sue immediately shouted, "Well, that's pretty on the nose." "Damn. The name alone tells you this place is definitely not good." Everyone braced for battle. A strange feeling rose in Zhang Yi's chest, too. His gaze went deep, like the ocean. Yang Xinshin clung to his back, her eyes equally deep, as if lost in thought. Zhang Yi twisted the throttle, and the speed jumped straight from 200 to 250. Wah! The motorcycle tore across the wasteland like a hurricane. The speed was dangerous, but the thrill of the wind and the streaking lights and shadows only heightened their adrenaline. A dimensional gate opened, and the motorcycle drove straight through it, emerging from another gate further down the highway. Zhang Yi didn't hesitate for even a second and rode straight past the tavern. He didn't want to touch anything unknown. Even a fool could tell that place was dangerous. But after driving for more than 2 minutes, the tavern reappeared on the side of the road. "Look, it's back again. Uncle, you're looking pretty serious." It was the exact same building, with the exact same Hell Tavern sign hanging on it. "Looks like we're stuck here. Why can't we get out?" Zhang Yi said nothing. He just kept riding down the highway, analyzing everything around him through his smart system. Scene match, 100%. You've been here before. When Zhang Yi reached the tavern for the third time, he finally stopped the motorcycle at the side of the road. "This is Mammon's dream. We need to complete some specific conditions before we can get out of here. Maybe we'll have to go inside the tavern to find out what happens next." Zhang Yi parked the motorcycle on the side, secured it, then helped Yang Xinshin down and stood beside it, staring coldly at the small, unassuming tavern. Second Hand of Time was already active, and his sixth sense had sharpened considerably. He could already feel that this place held tremendous danger. What should we do now? Should we try to destroy this place? Lu Karan wiped sweat from her forehead, looking a little nervous. After all, she didn't have much combat experience, and today she'd seen so many strange things she was drenched in sweat. Then Kanga spoke up. "This place is full of strange things. We shouldn't make any rash moves. Remember, this is the Demon Lord's dream world. There must be rules here. Nobody intentionally creates disorder in their own dream. Dreams are subconscious, which is exactly why they always follow some kind of rule. Like when we encountered the Lords of the Netherworld earlier. They followed certain rules too. The Crow soldiers are a fighting force, which is why the Crow of Doom relies mainly on combat ability. Its individual combat strength is powerful, but it's not obvious at first. It grows stronger as the battle continues. If it doesn't fight us, it doesn't split either. As for the immortal demon child, it looks terrifying, but it actually represents the mischievous side of a child. Destructive, innocent, greedy, and completely unafraid of danger. Zhang Yi and everyone else listened closely to Kanga's analysis. He had always been the team's guiding mind. "Then what does this tavern represent?" Zhang Yi asked, his eyes darkening as he studied the tavern intensely. Kanga said, "This is the only tavern in this entire area. Despite your abilities, we still can't escape, which means we first have to enter the game, then break it. So my opinion is, you should go inside the tavern." Hearing this, everyone nodded in agreement. There was definitely risk, but right now it was the only option. Lu Karen tried to comfort Zhang Yi. "Brother Zhang Yi, if you're worried about the danger, I can bomb this cursed place first. And if that doesn't work, we can use a Reaper of Love." Lu Karen was an engineer, and her ideas were always simple and violent. She liked solving every problem with a weapon. "No need." Zhang Yi called her over. "Karen, send the mechanical soldiers in first to scout. Let's see what the situation is like inside." Lu Karen nodded and immediately pulled out 2 mechanical life-form soldiers, sending them toward the tavern under her control while watching closely through her tactical helmet's display screen. But the moment the 2 mechanical soldiers pushed open the tavern door, all anyone could see was darkness. In the very next moment, the image on Lu Karan's screen turned into snowstorm static. Signal lost. Lu Karan looked over at Zhang Yi with an uneasy expression. Zhang Yi calmly pulled out a pack of cigarettes, lit one, and took a deep drag. White smoke slowly drifted from his mouth and dissolved into the air. He normally didn't enjoy smoking. He'd just do it occasionally in social situations or out of boredom. But nicotine helped reduce anxiety and irritability. "We've come this far. There's no turning back now." He gently patted Lu Karan's and Yang Xinshin's heads and smiled faintly. "You two head into the shadows. Leave the rest to me." "Brother, be careful," Lu Karen warned again, even though she knew Zhang Yi's self-defense capabilities were strong. "Don't worry. I know what I'm doing." Zhang Yi smiled, but his eyes were still sharply fixed on the old tavern. Yang Xinshin and Lu Karen retreated back into the shadows. Even while staying in the shadows, they could still assist Zhang Yi. If anything went wrong, they could come out immediately. But most of the time, they preferred to stay hidden so as not to add to his burden. Zhang Yi sheathed his magic sword. Divine refinement shifted shape. With a metallic clink, it transformed into chains and wrapped around his arms. In a small space like a tavern, chains were more convenient than a long sword, less conspicuous and easier to handle for sudden attacks and unexpected situations. The tavern doors were half open, and inside was pitch black. A cold wind blew across the wasteland, and the tavern's door creaked. Zhang Yi parked his armored motorcycle outside and slowly walked toward the tavern. He reached out to push the door open. The moment his right hand touched the doorknob, a vision flashed before his eyes. Thanks to second hand of time, he could see 4 seconds into the future. When he saw what was ahead, his brow furrowed instantly and his eyes filled with shock. The tavern's interior looked deeply strange. From the outside, it looked like a small, old tavern, but inside, only 2 dim, incandescent lights were burning. Centuries-old candlesticks lined the walls, their candles flickering faintly. From outside, the place looked small, but once inside, it looked like a massive hall. At tables and along the bar, several strange-looking people sat quietly drinking. Not a single one spoke a word. Some were as enormous as houses, others human-sized, and Zhang Yi had no idea what species they belonged to. The strangest thing was that directly at the front of the tavern stood a platform that looked exactly like a church altar. In front of that platform stood a woman wrapped in a black robe, hands clasped deep in prayer. Then Zhang Yi's gaze landed on a figure sitting in the corner, and his pupils contracted instantly. His right hand was still on the tavern's door handle, and his eyes widened with shock. He hadn't been here long, and he hadn't noticed anyone else entering this area either. So why was Odo here, inside the tavern? The Owoshi clan chief, Odo, sat in the corner of the tavern, head bowed, drinking silently. His glass held some unknown dark green liquid. He wasn't saying a word, just slowly sipping the strange drink with a dull expression. Was he the one who secretly attacked me? Doubt filled Zhang Yi's chest. Does he want to kill me and take the Spear of Longinus? Thoughts raced through his mind like lightning, but in that moment, Zhang Yi felt no fear whatsoever. He pushed open the tavern door and stepped straight into the darkness. When Zhang Yi had used the Reaper of Love to repel the immortal demon child, the entire tunnel had collapsed. Afterward, everyone mysteriously emerged from that dark world and fell into an entirely different place. The Aoshi clan now stood in a very strange space. They were all standing on a green field, looking around with serious expressions. But that green wasn't grass or trees. It was actually an extremely thick gas rising from below, oily and green-colored, carrying a powerful toxin. The moment they entered this space, a few members of the Aoshi clan accidentally stepped into a puddle and immediately screamed.
A special shout out to our precious members.
Did you enjoy the video? Drop a like to let me know and smash the subscribe button if you want to see more. I love to hear your thoughts. Tell me your favorite moment, what you didn't like, or what I can do better next time in the comment below. Thanks for watching. Bye bye. See you in the next one.